When we talk about skin tags, the first thing I like to remind people is how incredibly common they are. Almost everyone will develop at least one at some point, and for many, they show up in areas where the skin rubs a little more, like the neck, underarms, or around clothing friction points. They're soft, harmless little bits of skin that tend to appear quietly over time, and most people don't even notice them until they feel them or catch them in the mirror. And that's the moment when curiosity kicks in. You start wondering why it's there, what it means, and whether it's something you need to worry about. The reassuring part is that in the vast majority of cases, it's nothing alarming at all. Your skin is simply doing what skin does, responding to tiny stresses, genetics, and natural changes as you grow. The thing about skin tags is that they're almost like nature's little reminders that our bodies are constantly interacting with the world around us. Sometimes the skin folds, bends, or moves in ways that cause these tiny growths to form. Sometimes you see a small tag appear after weight changes, or as you get older, or even during times when your skin experiences more friction than usual. Nothing about this is unusual, and the more you understand just how normal they are, the easier it becomes to talk about them without hesitation or embarrassment. That comfort is important, because the last thing anyone needs is to feel uneasy about something so minor and so common. One thing people often ask is why some individuals seem to get many tags while others rarely get any. A lot of that comes down to personal skin behavior. Everyone's skin is unique, and some people simply have tissue that reacts more easily. It doesn't mean unhealthy skin or bad habits. It's simply your body's natural pattern. Even within the same family, one person might get several while another gets none. It's one of those quirks that shows how different our skin journeys can be. Another important piece of understanding is recognizing that skin tags don't become dangerous just because they exist. They don't suddenly turn into something harmful. However, what can happen is that people confuse them with other types of bumps or growths. That's where awareness becomes valuable. When you know what a typical skin tag looks and feels like, you can approach the whole situation with more ease and less guesswork. And when something doesn't quite match what you expect, that's when getting a professional opinion is beneficial, not out of fear, but simply to stay informed and confident about your own skin health. Talking openly about skin tags also removes the mystery that often leads people to try things they shouldn't. When you understand their nature, their softness, their harmlessness, their tendency to form in predictable places, you realize there's no urgency and no need for impulsive decisions. That's why education is so important. It shifts the conversation from how do I get rid of this right now to what's the safest, smartest way to handle this if I choose to. When people understand what a tag is, the pressure disappears and clarity takes its place. By grounding the conversation in calm, realistic understanding, you give people the confidence to approach any next step thoughtfully rather than reactively. It opens the door for safer choices, clearer expectations, and healthier long-term habits. And that's where every good skin journey begins, by knowing what's on your skin, why it's there, and how normal it truly is. Knowledge isn't just power, it's peace of mind. When we move into the reason why people choose to remove skin tags, it's important to approach it with a sense of understanding rather than urgency. Most of the time, the motivation isn't fear or danger. It's comfort, confidence, or simply wanting the skin to feel smooth again. For many people, the moment they notice a tag brushing against their necklace, catching on clothing, or rubbing every time they turn their head, that slight annoyance becomes the first spark of interest in removal. Even though these little growths are harmless, they can still be irritating everyday life, and no one needs to feel bothered by something they didn't ask for in the first place. And then there's the aesthetic side of it. Our skin plays a huge role in how we move through the world, whether we admit it or not. When someone sees a tag on their neck or under their arm, they might not be worried about its safety, but they may simply prefer the clean, even look of skin without it. There's nothing wrong with that. Wanting to feel confident when you look in the mirror or comfortable wearing certain clothes is a natural human feeling. People often whisper about these things as though they're trivial, but honestly, if something affects you every day, even in a small way, it's worth acknowledging. Another common reason people consider removal is the unpredictability that comes with friction. Tag might start out tiny and soft, but depending on how it sits on the skin, it can become irritated over time. It doesn't have to be painful, just a little redness, a little catching, maybe a little swelling after a long day of movement. When something constantly rubs or tugs, it becomes a reminder that it's there even when you're not thinking about it. And that persistent awareness can be enough to make someone want to address it so they can go back to living without the distraction. There's also a psychological layer that people don't always verbalize. A lot of individuals feel hesitant to talk about growths on their body, even harmless ones, because they worry others might judge or misunderstand them. Skin tags can create insecurity not because they're harmful, but because people don't always realize how normal they are. When someone learns that so many others deal with the exact same thing, you can almost see the relief. It shifts the mindset from what's wrong with me to, okay, this is normal now, what do I want to do about it? That shift alone empowers people to make thoughtful, comfortable choices for themselves. And sometimes the reason is even simpler. People just prefer the feeling of smooth, uninterrupted skin. There doesn't need to be a deeper reason than that. It's completely valid to want your skin to feel the way you like it to feel. In fact, the decision to remove a skin tag is almost always about personal preference rather than medical necessity. And when you understand that, it becomes clear that the choice belongs entirely to the individual, not to anyone else's opinion or pressure. What I always find interesting is that once someone understands how harmless skin tags are, their reasons for removal become even more grounded. It stops being about fear and becomes about comfort and self-care. They're not reacting, they're choosing. And that distinction matters. When a person chooses care based on clarity and confidence rather than worry, they're far more likely to feel satisfied with whatever decision they make. At the end of the day, the real reason people choose removal is simple. They want to feel more comfortable in their skin, both physically and emotionally. And that's always a worthwhile reason to take action. When we get to the part about professional evaluation, this is where everything truly comes together, because understanding what a skin tag is and why someone might want it removed naturally leads to the next question: who should be the one to take a look at it? And the honest answer is that even though skin tags are usually completely harmless, having a trained eye confirm what you're dealing with brings a level of reassurance that you simply can't get on your own. It's not about creating fear, it's about creating clarity. When you're confident that what you see on your skin is exactly what you think it is, every decision you make afterward becomes calmer, wiser, and safer. A lot of people are surprised when they learn how many different types of bumps, spots, and growths can appear on the skin. Some are soft, some are firm, some are flat, some are raised, and many of them look similar to the untrained eye. That's where a professional makes the biggest difference. What seems like a simple tag to someone at home might behave differently than expected, and a dermatologist or qualified specialist has the experience to distinguish between all these little details without guessing. They can look at the shape, the color, the way it attaches to the skin, how it moves, things most people never think to notice, and give you a clear answer within seconds. That peace of mind alone is worth more than any attempt to handle things blindly. And beyond just identifying the tag, professionals help you understand what's normal for your skin. Everyone's skin has its patterns, and sometimes what appears unusual is actually very typical for a certain age group, skin type, or friction-prone area. When someone hears that their skin is behaving exactly the way many others do, you can literally see the tension lift off their shoulders. That's the kind of reassurance that keeps people from panicking over something small or trying to fix it impulsively. Another important part of consulting a professional is avoiding unnecessary irritation or complications. Skin tags themselves are harmless, but the skin around them can still react if handled the wrong way. A specialist evaluates not just the tag, but the environment it's in. Is the skin sensitive? Has it been rubbed or inflamed recently? Is it in a place where friction might keep bothering it? These small observations help guide what should happen next. When someone gets that kind of guidance, they're less likely to make quick decisions based on discomfort and more likely to make thoughtful choices based on what will keep their skin healthiest in the long run. A professional evaluation also gives you the chance to ask questions that you'd never get answered by guessing or searching online. Why did the tag show up there? Could friction be contributing? Are there lifestyle factors that might lead to more over time? People often feel relieved just having those answers because it helps them understand that their skin isn't misbehaving, it's responding to normal daily life. And when you understand the why, the what next becomes much easier to decide. Most importantly, involving a professional brings structure to the process. It stops being a vague, uncertain situation and becomes something guided, safe, and predictable. There's a lot of comfort in knowing that whatever you choose, whether it's to leave the tag alone or have it removed, you're making choice with full awareness, not assumption. You're not rushing, you're not doubting, you're simply making the best decision for your skin with the right support behind you. In the end, getting a professional evaluation isn't about making something simple feel complicated. It's about making sure something simple stays simple, handled with clarity, confidence, and care. When we start thinking about preparation before any decision about a skin tag, the most important thing to understand is that preparation isn't about doing anything complicated or medical on your own. It's simply about taking small, thoughtful steps that keep your skin calm, clean, and protected while you explore your options. By the time you've learned what a skin tag is and why someone might choose to remove it, and you've already gotten a professional opinion, the next phase is just about creating the right environment for your skin. Many people underestimate how much this matters, but these quiet, simple habits make everything smoother, safer, and far less stressful. A big part of good preparation is avoiding anything that irritates the area. Even though a skin tag isn't dangerous, the skin surrounding it is still delicate. Rubbing, scratching, tugging at jewelry, or letting fabric constantly pull at it can make the skin more sensitive. When someone keeps touching or fiddling with a tag out of curiosity, it's usually unintentional, but over time, it can make the area red and irritated. Simply becoming aware of that habit is already a major step forward. Give the skin a little breathing room, choose softer fabrics. If the area tends to rub, make small adjustments in how you move or where accessories sit so the tag isn't constantly being bumped. These changes don't remove anything, they just keep your skin calmer so you're not dealing with unnecessary irritation. Cleanliness also plays a gentle but important role. Again, nothing complex or harsh, just your normal washing routine with mild cleansers, avoiding scrubbing directly over the tag. The goal isn't to treat anything, it's simply to keep the skin fresh and reduce buildup around areas that experience friction. When your skin is clean and not inflamed, you get a much clearer picture of what's actually happening there. It helps you notice whether the tag stays the same, whether it gets irritated by certain movements, or whether it's completely stable. That kind of awareness guides everything that comes next. Another part of preparation is paying attention to patterns. Does the tag rub more during certain activities? Does it get irritated after exercise or when wearing certain clothing? Do you tend to bump it when brushing your hair or carrying a bag? These little observations are incredibly helpful. People often think skin issues appear randomly, but so many of them follow patterns connected to daily habits. When you recognize those patterns, you're able to protect your skin more easily. And when you protect your skin, you give it the best chance to stay calm and healthy no matter what decision you make later. It's also helpful to enter this phase with a clear mindset. Many times people feel pressure, either from themselves or from others, to make decisions quickly, but skincare doesn't have to be rushed. Preparing thoughtfully allows you to take your time. It gives you space to ask all your questions, to discuss options with a specialist, and to make decisions based on comfort instead of discomfort. When you approach things slowly and intentionally, the whole process becomes smooth instead of stressful. One thing that's worth emphasizing is that preparation isn't only physical, it's mental too. Understanding your skin, acknowledging your preferences, and feeling confident about the steps you're taking all matter. When you know you're caring for your skin gently and responsibly, you feel more in control. You're not acting out of frustration or irritation, you're acting out of awareness. And that shift makes everything easier. Ultimately, preparing before any decision on a skin tag is about creating the right conditions. Clean skin, calm skin, protected skin, and a clear, confident mind. When you take these quiet steps seriously, every choice you make afterward becomes safer, smarter, and far more comfortable. Once a skin tag has been looked at and professionally removed, the next phase is all about giving your skin the gentle support it needs as it settles back into its natural rhythm. Even though these removals are typically simple and straightforward when done by a qualified specialist, the skin still appreciates a little extra kindness afterward. And that's really what post-removal care is. Not medical steps you take on your own, but small, everyday habits that keep the area clean, calm, and protected while it heals. When people understand this, they realize that aftercare isn't intimidating at all. It's just thoughtful attention to the spot where their skin has had a tiny interruption. The first thing to remember is that your skin has just gone through a brief interaction, and like anything that disrupts the surface, it may feel a little sensitive for a short while. That doesn't mean something's wrong, it just means your body is doing its natural work. Most of the time, the area simply needs to be left alone. No rubbing, no picking, no trying to check it every few minutes. The less you disturb it, the faster it settles. People sometimes forget how powerful hands-off can be. Skin thrives when we give it the space to rest without interference. Keeping the area clean is the next simple part of aftercare. Gentle cleansing during your regular routine is usually enough without scrub. Or applying anything harsh that might irritate newly exposed skin. Think of it the same way you'd treat a place where you removed a bandage or clipped a hangnail. You wouldn't aggressively wash it, you'd treat it with lightness. The skin responds beautifully to that kind of care. When it's clean, soft, and free from unnecessary friction, it feels supported instead of overwhelmed. Another area people don't always think about is clothing and movement. Sometimes the spot where the tag was removed is right where a shirt collar rubs, where a backpack strap sits, or where skin folds naturally touch throughout the day. Becoming aware of those interactions helps you protect the area without effort. You might adjust a strap slightly, choose a softer fabric for a day or two, or be mindful of turning your neck quickly if the spot is along the side. These aren't rules, they're just little acts of awareness that make healing smoother. It's also very normal to find yourself monitoring the area in the days afterward, not obsessively, just out of natural curiosity. What matters is noticing the right things, whether the skin stays calm, whether it continues to settle, whether the color gradually evens out. And if something ever feels off or unexpected, that's where the relationship with your specialist comes back into play. Following their guidance and reaching back out if anything seems unclear is part of responsible aftercare. You're not expected to figure everything out alone, and checking in when needed is simply part of staying on top of your skin health. One of the biggest benefits of good aftercare is what it teaches people about their skin moving forward. You start to recognize how your skin responds, how quickly it calms, how it looks when it's healing well. You develop a better relationship with your own body because you're paying attention in a calm, informed way. And that awareness carries into the future, not just for skin tags, but for any little changes that might show up over the years. When you understand your skin's patterns, you're in a stronger position to take care of it with confidence. Post-removal care isn't about doing a lot, it's about doing the right amount. Just enough to support the skin without overwhelming it. Keep it clean, protect it from friction, avoid touching, stay aware, and follow the guidance you were given. These are small steps, but they add up to a smooth, predictable, comfortable recovery. And when you treat your skin with that kind of attention, it rewards you with exactly what you're hoping for: steady healing and a clear, peaceful finish. As we move into the idea of long-term skin habits, this is where everything you've learned so far, understanding what skin tags are, knowing why people choose to address them, getting a professional evaluation, preparing the skin, and caring for it afterward, really starts to connect. Because once that moment of removal is behind you, the focus shifts from a single spot on the skin to the bigger picture of how your skin behaves over time. And that bigger picture matters. Your skin is constantly responding to movement, friction, environment, and the natural changes that happen as you grow. And the way you care for it each day plays a huge role in how calm, balanced, and healthy it stays. One of the simplest but most powerful habits you can build is paying attention to friction. Skin tags tend to form where the skin rubs, folds, or experiences repetitive movement, so being aware of those areas helps prevent unnecessary irritation. You don't have to change your lifestyle. Just notice how clothing fits, how accessories touch your skin, how bags or straps sit on your shoulders, or even how often you rest your neck on your hands. These tiny bits of awareness can make a huge difference. When you reduce daily friction, you're giving those vulnerable areas a break, and your skin responds by staying calmer and more even. Another long-term habit that supports healthier skin is keeping your routine gentle. A lot of people think stronger means better, but with skin, that's rarely the case. Using mild cleansers, avoiding harsh scrubbing, and choosing products that support rather than overwhelm the skin helps maintain its natural barrier. When that barrier is healthy, the skin is less reactive and more resilient. It's not about expensive routines or complicated steps, it's about consistency and kindness. Your skin appreciates patience far more than pressure. Staying aware of any new changes on your skin is another important habit, not in a worrying way, but in a familiar, comfortable way, like keeping track of freckles, moles, or marks simply because they're part of you. When you check in from time to time, you begin to notice what's normal for your body. You learn your patterns. You start recognizing which areas tend to experience more friction, which areas tend to stay calm, and which spots deserve a little extra attention during your routine. That awareness not only helps you feel more in control, it also helps you decide when something looks different enough to get a professional opinion, and doing so early always leads to better clarity. Hydration, both inside and out, also plays a role in the long-term health of your skin. Drinking water regularly and using moisturizer on areas that get dry or irritated helps the skin stay soft and flexible. When the skin is well hydrated, it handles friction better, heals faster, and generally behaves more predictably. Again, none of this needs to be complicated. A basic moisturizer applied regularly can support your skin in more ways than most people realize. And then there's the mindset you bring into your relationship with your skin. Understanding that these small growths, changes, and textures are often completely normal helps take the pressure off. You don't have to view every mark or bump with alarm. You can approach your skin with curiosity instead of worry. When you see your skin as something you're partnering with rather than something you're constantly trying to control, caring for it becomes much easier. It becomes part of your routine, not a source of stress. The real goal of building healthy long-term habits isn't to avoid every skin change. It's to move through those changes with ease, awareness, and confidence. When you keep friction low, maintain gentle routines, stay hydrated, and pay attention to what's normal for your skin, you're creating the best possible environment for it to stay balanced and calm. And when you approach your skin with that kind of steady care, you end up with exactly what everyone wants: a feeling of peace, a feeling of control, and a skin journey that moves forward with clarity instead of confusion.